Just when it becomes like, you know, second nature, they're gonna make it.
That's every update on your phone. It's like, why is it doing that now? I don't like that.
I've got to get a whole new computer.
Oh.
Just been putting it off and putting it off.
Oh. So go ahead and sit however's comfortable. You all know, take your time, grab blankets if you need to sit on so that you're comfortable and your hips feel okay, whether you want to sit cross-legged or you want to stretch your legs out. And just close your eyes, shift around a little bit just to get yourself kind of evened out between your sitting bones there. And then as you lengthen up and close your eyes gently, find a comfortable place to rest your hands. And come to be with your breath, letting yourself start to settle down a little bit. Watching the breath easily coming in and going out through your nose. Yourself start to move forward and back with your breath. So as you exhale, coming forward, and as you inhale, coming back up. So just starting to move with your breath, keeping the length of your spine, letting, if you can, the back of your head kind of stay in line with your spine so you don't kind of reach your chin up at all. Feels really easy. You have length in the back of your neck and throat. And the next time that you come forward, let yourself stay. You know you're welcome to put your hands out and go as far forward as you want or stay as high up as you choose. So take your time and let yourself come into that seated forward bend where you feel a nice little release through your back and your hips. Nothing too much. And then come up enough. You may want to walk your hands back a little bit to keep your hands centered and let your torso just barely shift a little bit from side to side. It doesn't need to be big. You can go as far as you want, kind of shifting, but let your hands stay grounded. And return back to center here. We're going to walk ourselves all the way up, letting our hands come on out beside us, fingertips lightly touching the ground. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up a little bit now. Feel your hands gently pressing a little more firmly together there. And then release the elbows down. Inhale the hands up. Keep them together and try to let your forearms come together here. And then release the hands back down and open the elbows back out a little to the side. So inhaling, hands up, forearms coming towards each other. And exhale, let them come on back down. Open the elbows up a little higher. And then one more time. Inhaling, rising the hands up. And exhale, letting them come on back down. And then unfold your arms straight on out beside you and start to let your hands circle in one direction. So you just come into the wrists. You might even kind of wiggle your fingers around a little bit to reverse directions when you're ready. Kind of just enjoy finding your hands and feeling that movement through the wrists. Good, and then we'll release our arms on down beside us, and let's switch the cross of the legs if we're cross-legged. So bring your other leg in front if you were cross-legged. Otherwise, fine, be comfortable how you are. And then we'll come on forward and back again with the breath. So letting our exhales bring us forward and our inhales bring us back, so enjoying that gentle rocking motion. And connecting with the breath, so letting your movement connect to your breath. Again, the next time that you come forward, let your hands come on down. You're more than welcome to stay up as high as you want, to walk yourself on out forward more if that feels good for your back and your hips. Just be mindful. If you can, let your head hang due, unless it bothers your back. Good. One more breath here. And then again, you're going to come up enough so that you just aren't quite as far forward. Your back is long, your hands are center, and then you're going to just shift your torso a little bit from side to side. Just letting yourself go back and forth a little bit. If you feel like staying on one side because you find a place that needs a little more stretch, feel free. And we will come on back into center and again walk ourselves all the way on up to sitting, hands on out beside us on the floor. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now from here, let's shift, and I'm going to mirror you, over to your right hip and swing your legs around here to your left. And you know, it's kind of up to you how you want to be sitting. Just let yourself be comfortable. We're going to add just an easy twist here, letting your left hand come over to your right knee, and then let yourself just lengthen up here as you come into an easy little twist. So, you know, if you're really up on this right side, so you're not trying to lower the other hip down. The left hip is really way up off the floor. It's a different kind of feeling twist. Just be mindful there. One more inhale. And then come on back around into center. And from here, see if you can come down onto this right forearm on the ground. And then just reach your left arm up overhead and come into a nice little side stretch here. So just let yourself enjoy just reaching through the side and letting yourself breathe into the left ribs. Good. And we're going to come on back up. You'll have to use your belly a little bit to get there. We're going to swing our legs around through center and over to the other side. And again, kind of get yourself, you're really lopsided. You're up on this left hip, right? You're really letting this right buttocks is really off the floor. And when you start to come into this twist, let yourself, as you bring your hand around, give a little bit of support with your fingertips of that left hand. Let yourself enjoy here. Waking up the spine a little bit. Really enjoy feeling lengthening up through the top of your head. And then we're going to release, come back through center, bring your hand down, go ahead, come to your forearm if you can, and then just stretch on out through the right side of the body here. You know, I forgot to say on the other side, you can actually turn your head a little bit, look up if it feels good, let yourself look down. You might just stay in a place where you feel really comfortable in your neck once you've looked around a little bit. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come on back up. Let's swing our legs on around in front of us and let yourself feel your heels on the ground. Bring your hands on back behind you. You can stay on fingertips or you can go right on back, flat onto your hands. Draw your chest forward, your shoulders back and down, and look wherever feels good. Forward if that feels better to your neck, up a little bit if it feels good, up as high as you want. Opening through the chest there. And then we'll come on back and let yourself shake your hands out a little bit. Circle your feet around a little bit too. We're making our way around to hands and knees, so you know if you do not want to be on your knees, don't be. Grab a blanket if you need to. Come down onto your forearms. You know, you can even put your forearms on blocks if you want to get out of your hands because you know you're having too much issue. You can do your cat-cows like this. In fact, sometimes I like to do it. I don't have trouble with my wrist and hands. Sometimes I like to do this. It changes the feeling of moving through your cat-cows. But I also like hands on the floor. So you pick, let yourself play a little bit, and really let it feel easy to flow through your back. Just let it feel really good to feel that tailbone start and moving your way up through your spine. It's really taking your time. Good. And then finish off the one you're on. Come on back to neutral spine. And now set your feet over to the right a little bit. Let yourself look back over your right shoulder at your feet. And you'll just come into a little sideways stretch there on your left side. And then come back through center with the feet and all the way over to the other side and just look back over your shoulder there, looking back towards your feet. And then we'll come on back into center here. I'm going to grab my blocks. You do what you want for your lunge, stepping a left foot forward, and let's keep that back knee down for a second and let ourselves shift forward a little bit with our hips. So take your time, you know, be any height you want to be on the blocks. Let yourself open up through the front of that right hip there. And press gently into the top of the right toes just a little bit. Good, and we're going to switch legs. So take your time as you come on back with the left knee and step the right foot forward. And then again, you know, how far you shift your hips forward is up to you. Pressing gently into the top of the left toes there. Good. And let's come back again and bring the left foot forward again. And this time let's go ahead and come up with that back knee and find full lunge here. So again, whatever height you want to be on your blocks. Get to a really good place where you feel just right in your lunge. You can let yourself float your left heel a little bit up off the floor, really feeling your quad there, your left quad, and reach back into that inner right heel. Lower that left heel on back down to the ground. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And we will switch legs. So coming to the other side. So again, get mindful of that front knee bend, remember. Let yourself feel really comfortable in the length of your stance. See if you can bring that right heel off the floor. And imagine you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet a little bit here. Reach into that inner left heel. And then lower the right heel on back down. And from here, let's step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And you know, be mindful of your own back. See if you can walk a little bit. Bend a knee at a time. If you like picking your heel up when you bend your knee, fine, to come a little more into your feet. Or you may feel better to keep your feet on the floor and just bend the knee, right? Or a little bit of both. And then when you're ready to come on back into feeling centered, remember knees can be a little bent. Make sure as you come into your forward bend, you're comfortable, so use whatever support you need. Elbows above the knees is fine, hands on the blocks. Feel that openness through the backs of the legs. Remember, it's fine to have your knees bent a little bit. Feeling your sitting bones over your heels. From here, let's let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet as we rise up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts, coming into mountain pose here now. So be mindful, if you can, as your gaze is forward, whether your eyes are open or closed, right, and your gaze is forward, let yourself really feel your feet equal in the floor. Bend your knees just a tiny little bit. Press down into your feet and float your toes up for a second. So you feel the arches lifting up You're making sure you're not rolling to the outside or the insides of your feet. Let the toes softly come on back down to the floor. Realize the importance of them, and then come on into your mountain, feeling your thighs lifting up towards your hips, feeling the alignment of your pelvis, tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. And just enjoy finding that sense of being very balanced, side to side and front to back. And as we let our arms unfold on down beside us here now, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long flat back. Lengthen out through the spine. Reach back through your tailbone. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So finding your way into your dog, whatever you need to do. Walk, wag your tail, be mindful of kind of letting movement happen if it helps you coming into your dog. Feel your hands. If you need to check your hands out, you can look up at your hands and just make sure you're pretty parallel with your pointer fingers, and your wrists are feeling okay as you reach back through your sitting bones. Elbows hug gently towards each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank. Nice and strong. Engage your belly. Before you lower down, if you need to put your knees down, do it. And we'll come on down, elbows right by the ribs. Come on into Sphinx. Elbows as close to under the shoulders as you can. Remember, you can go lower. Slide your elbows back more. Let yourself enjoy. Bring your gaze there between your hands. Feel the tops of the toes gently, really gently pressing a little bit into the floor. One more breath. And then we'll slowly lower on back down. Bring your hands by your chest now. And on your next inhale, float your head and your chest up a little bit. And your hands as well. Let your hands come up for a second. And then curl your toes under. So that now you're going to try to just let yourself feel the feet stretching out of the bottoms a little bit of your feet. And then bring everything down. Your head, your hands, come back to pointing your feet. And we're going to make our way on back to down dog, whether you come back through a half or a full push-up. Take your time. You can shift back to hands and knees first if you'd rather. And we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge here. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend with our feet. Hips distance apart and parallel. Release to where you want. If you want to let your hands go to a different place, anywhere can work, to your elbows, under your feet. If you like to hold your toes, if you like to bring your hands to your back. Go to the breath. Really now start to focus on those big, really deep breaths, right? Letting yourself accept as fully and deeply as you can your inhales and your exhales. And as we let our hands come on up, back to our hips, we're going to bend our knees, press into our feet equally, and come on up. Inhale our arms all the way out and up. As you exhale, bring the hands down together in front of your heart. Take a breath here in your mountain pose. Feel it already a little bit lighter in your head, already energy flowing through the body. Enables you to experience your mountain pose a little bit differently. Let's unfold our arms right down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, fold from the hips as you come forward. Remember, bending the knees helps take it out of your back. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we'll step left foot back this time to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers wide. Really feel your hands on the floor here now. Let yourself enjoy again. You need to move. Go right ahead and do it. And then as you come back to full dog, let your next inhale bring you on out to that plank. Nice and strong. We're going to lower down. Again, knees first if you need, elbows right by the ribs. And come into that little cobra. So let yourself just lightly have your hands on the floor here at first. Elbows hug in a little bit. And now if you want to keep going up higher, you can. You can press into your hands and rise up higher into a cobra pose. Not necessary. Staying low is fine. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back down. We're going to make our way back to down dog from here, however you choose to get there. And we'll bring our left foot forward from there into lunge. And come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, be mindful. Do what feels good. If you're able to hold your elbows, do that so that you can really feel that full release forward of your torso. That is so not for everybody's back though. So if that doesn't work for you, don't do it. Use support under your hands or place your elbows above your knees. Accept those full, complete deep breaths so you feel your ribs expanding. You may even feel your front ribs pressing into your thighs when you inhale. And when you exhale, imagine the top of the head getting closer towards the ground. And we will release our hands from here back up to our hips, press into our feet, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline, and then lower your left arm down. We're going to come over into side stretch. So if you can, turn your hand so that you face your fingertips down towards the left side there of you, and then press up into the heel of that hand. Now if you can turn to look up a little bit too, as long as it doesn't bother your neck. And then see if you can turn to look back center and look down just a little bit. And then face forward again, one more breath. And rising on back up, we'll lower that arm down. We're going to make one big arm circle with that arm, bringing it forward, up, overhead, and then way back as far as you can behind you. And we're going to inhale the left arm all the way up. And again, the hand turns so the fingertips face to your right. And press up into the heel of that hand. Now really feel your left foot in the floor too. Breathing into that side. And you can do the turning to look down if it feels okay for your neck, up whenever you're ready, or if you're like, yeah, my neck does not do that, don't do it. Just be mindful of, feeling what feels good to your neck. And then come on back to look forward, and we're going to rise on up, lower that arm slowly on down. Again, that big arm circle, bringing it forward and up overhead, and as far back behind you as you can, and then softly bend your elbows, bring your hands to meet in front of your chest. And let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings and come into your standing forward bend. We'll move with the breath. Inhale into a long back, and exhale right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank, and let your exhale lower you down. Inhale into your cobra of choice, and exhale back to down dog. Inhale, exhale right foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with your breath, and let your exhale carry you forward again. Inhale, find that long back, and exhale left foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Inhale your way out to your plank. Let your exhale again lower you down. And inhale into your cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale, exhale left foot forward to lunge. And inhale, exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward. Inhale, find that long back. We're going to find down dog. Place your hands. Get to your down dog how you want. Take your time. Again, if you want to wag your tail, if you want to bend both your knees, if you want to walk a little bit, or even turn your head a little side to side, that'd be easy. Let dog feel like a resting pose here. And from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two. You may want to have your blocks handy there. Let yourself come into that length of stance where you feel good to be. Bend into that front knee and make sure you're aligned there so that it feels really comfortable. And then let your hands just come together there in front of your chest and settle into the pose here. Really feel okay in your legs up into your hips so you feel very balanced, even though, you know, you're very asymmetrical with your legs. And then from here, separate your hands, but let the tips of your middle fingers touch. It's like you have your hands on a shelf right there in front of your chest. Be really mindful, release here through the shoulders. And as you slowly just let your arms unfold and you start to turn to look out over the top of that left hand, you can reach equally back through the right fingertips and forward through the left. Feel the feet in the floor, press them gently away from each other. And let's bring our right arm down. If you can fold the arm behind your low back, do. And turn your left palm up and inhale, reach up, even maybe a little behind yourself. Nice full breath into the left side of the body. And on your next exhale, come on into your side angle. Keep your right hand behind you if you can. Look down at the floor for a second. Let yourself just be mindful as you either have your hand or your forearm on your thigh, lengthening through both sides of the body. And then turn to look towards the long side of your mat there. And let's lay that right arm right down on the side of our leg, right down on the side of our body. So find the length through the spine. If you want to add the arm, think of swinging that arm in front of your body, in front of your chest and head, and up into line with that right side of the body. So just enjoy coming into length through both sides here so you're not collapsing in the underside of the body. Reach the right sitting bone down towards your right heel. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then just reverse. Bring your hands back like they're in front of your chest, like they're on that shelf again. So the palms are down and you're just folding your arms back in. And now come back to prayer hands, where you just let yourself release, hands back together, elbows just release down. And we're going to turn to find lunge here. So bringing your hands down to whatever you like to use for your support, the floor or the blocks. Release that heel behind you or the right foot. And add your twist of choice. If you'd rather bring your right elbow across to your left knee, do. Or you can bring your left hand up to your hip or your low back. Or, of course, you can stretch the arm up overhead. So come into your twist of choice. Really let yourself enjoy the full length here through the body. Just imagine that long line through your body when you're in this lunge and a twist. We're going to come on back down with our hand. And we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose from there. Walk a little bit to the tops of the feet a couple of times to stretch out the tops of your feet in your dog. Good. And then finish off. Come on back to your full plank. And let's come on out. Dog. And let's come on out to plank. So take your time. If you want to add a back bend here, do it the way you want. You can come down through chaturanga. You can come through for an up dog if you choose without coming through your chaturanga. And then we'll make our way back again into down dog. Walk your dog a little bit here. And we're going to do that again. Come on out to plank. Totally optional. Whether you want to add any kind of back bend or not, you can if you want. It's not necessary. And then we'll come on back again when you're ready to down dog. From here, we're going to lower our knees down and come on into child's pose for a breath. And if you can, bend your elbows, bring your hands up to your low back, upper back. And if that doesn't work, don't do it. If it feels good to your triceps, to your upper arms, your shoulders, you can. If not, don't do it. Good. One more breath. And then bring your arms back long again. And we're going to come up to all fours and back to our down dog again. Good. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And then come all the way on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Bend your knees, press into your feet. Rise on up to standing, inhaling the arms up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward again. Good. From here, we're going to walk back into down dog again. Take your time. Let yourself find your down dog, really. Enjoy. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward and come into warrior two on the other side. So take your time. Come on up. Be mindful of getting those heels in line, getting that front knee lined up with the center of your foot. Just really enjoy coming from the feet up into your hips here for a second. And when your hands come to your heart, it just feels natural. You just start to feel really balanced and easy. Feel the feet just gently pressing a little bit away from each other so you really feel your hips here. Good, and now lifting the hands a little so now the tips of the middle fingers touch. And again, you're back to where you feel like your hands are just resting right there in front of your chest on a shelf. And when you start to unfold and turn your gaze out over that right hand, it's really easy to find just the height you want your hands to be. Let yourself really enjoy reaching out through both sets of fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. Enjoy that strength and power of your warrior two. If you can, fold your left arm behind you, do. If not, just put your hand on your leg. Turn your right palm up and inhale, reach up. You can even go a little farther back if you want. Breathing into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come to that side angle. So again, it can be your hand on your thigh. You can go down to your forearm. Look at the floor for a second. Let yourself just enjoy kind of finding that length there. And then you can start to turn your gaze to look towards the long side of your mat. Lie your arm down for a second on your leg, on the side of your body. Keep pressing down into that hand or forearm and find your head in line with your spine if you can. Beautiful. We're going to swing that left arm down in front of us if we can and add it into line. Remember, you don't have to add the arm here. Take your time. Really feel that length through the left side of the body. Feel the left outer heel reaching down towards the floor and then reaching out through your fingertips. Beautiful. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Good. And then from here, refold your arms back so you've got your hands on that shelf again. So really be aware of touching the tips of the middle fingers together there. And then just softly lower the elbows, bring the hands to meet, and let yourself come into your prayer hands. Good. We're going to let our arms come down so we can find lunge. So turning back to either hands on blocks, releasing that left heel behind you. And you decide if you want to do twisted prayer, bringing your left elbow across to that right knee, or maybe you want to bring your right hand up to your low back, coming into twist here, rolling that shoulder up, or adding the arm. So you find the twisted choice that works for you. One more breath. And then we'll release to come on back down. We're going to find down dog again. Come on back into your down dog. Take your time, walk a little bit, pick a foot up if you want, and circle through your feet 1 foot at a time if that feels good. Good, and then this time, let's come on out to plank, and let's play a little bit with side plank. You're welcome to put your right knee down. Use your foot like a kickstand, and come on up into that side plank variation, or you can do a full one. Totally up to you. If you've got your knee down, you might want to lift your left foot off the floor. You might even want to do that if you're in your full one. Good luck to you if you do that. And then we're going to come on back down through center. Kind of find your plank there and walk your plank a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. Feel really strong in the core of your body. Come back to your full plank. We're going to go to the other side. So if you're putting the knee down, left knee can be down. Foot can be like a kickstand. You can come into your side plank fully if you'd rather. You can lift that right foot up if you want. And then we'll come on back down, back to our plank again. Good. And then come on back into down dog. You're on your own here. You want to do any more, go for it. You want to go through some vinyasas or kriyas, you can. Or of course you can rest. You can rest in dog. You can rest in child's pose. You know that. Let yourself be mindful what you need to do for your own body. Good. And then finish off whatever you're doing so we can come back briefly to down dog, just so we can bring the left foot forward and come up for warrior one. So be mindful as you rise your way on back up here now, and let that right heel do what it needs to do, where when you bring your shoulders around, you're okay here in this back foot, your knee, your ankle, you're open in the front of your hip. So actually, I mean, just think, as you bring your right hand, just so it's right here in the front of your hip, bring your awareness there for a second. As how when you reach into that back foot on the floor, you just feel this huge openness there in the front of your hip. Good, and then let your arms just hang. Let them feel really heavy and easy. And now really think of your core strength as you inhale the right arm forward and up and back behind you like we did earlier as far as you can go. And we'll go to the other side. So as you inhale the arm up, you feel how the belly works, and then when you reach it behind you, it's almost like you do double duty there, right? And now we'll do both. Inhale both arms up. You feel that lift. Keep the lift as the arms circle around behind you. And then inhale, bring the arms on forward and up. Now you can widen your arms if you need to. Think about your pinkies turning towards each other. Let yourself start to bring your gaze up a little bit if you can. Remember, it's that lift at the base of your shoulder blades. One more breath here. And now if you can bend your elbows, clasp your hands, and just support the back of your head a little bit. Let it feel good. Press the back of your head gently into your hands. Feel your feet on the floor. For one more breath. And then bring your gaze on back forward. We're going to unfold our arms on down, and we're going to turn sideways on our mat to face the long edge. Adjust your stance for wide-legged forward bend. And go ahead and ease your way forward. Grab your blocks if you need them. So once you get down, wherever you want your hands to be, just bend one knee and see if you can barely bend the knee. So, I mean, it's just a little bend, one knee at a time, and give yourself time when you do it. Stay on the one side for a breath or two. And, I mean, a lot smaller maybe than you usually do. And then we'll come on back into center. Let your hands come out way in front of you like you're doing down dog, right? But a little wider than your hands would be in down dog. You know, more closer to like coming into a V shape with your arms. And then let your heart just sink down a little bit towards the ground and back a little bit. So you release there between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. And then walk your hands on back in towards center and adjust to where you want to be to stay in your pose. So if you like the traditional hands between your feet, letting yourself hug your elbows a little inward, shoulders coming away from your ears, you can stay there. Or of course you can use any support you need. Blocks under your head or your forearms, elbows above your knees. You know, you can shift your hands to wherever you want them to be. Let yourself follow those breaths. Fully and deeply, all the way in, all the way out. One more nice, deep, full breath. And we'll walk our hands back forward so we can walk back to that left foot. Come on back into your lunge and back into your down dog. And again, do what feels right to you right now. If you'd rather put your knees down and come into child's pose, do it. If you'd rather come out for some planks or move through for some back bends, that is totally up to you. You know, just be really mindful of what your body needs today. Really enjoy. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog so that we can bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one on the other side, remember? So take your time, kind of get yourself adjusted there. Really be mindful of drawing your shoulders square. Get that left hand, if you can, just to lightly touch the front of your hip there. And think about that length right there in the front of your hip, right? Feel the foot fully on the floor back there. And then let your arms just hang. Bring your gaze forward. Start to feel, okay, where is this pose really strong right now? So when you move your arms, your core comes into play. Left arm is going to come up, overhead, reach back behind you. Feel how you use your belly, your low back, and your hips right there. And then we'll use the other arm circling up and overhead, reaching back behind, feeling that core strength as you do. And then both arms will come forward and up. Really keep that focus there as you bring the arms back behind you into that circle. And we're going to inhale them up and stay up this time. So let yourself, again, be a wide V if you'd rather, or hands over your shoulders. Turn your pinkies towards each other. Perhaps think of looking up a little bit and feel how you feel even more open in the front of that left hip. Energy all the way up through the fingertips. Really enjoy feeling your whole body in the pose here. And if you can bend your elbows and bring your hands to clasp right at the back of your head. Now just support your head. Press your head gently into your hands and let yourself lead. Feel like you're leading with your heart, really. One more breath. And then as you bring your gaze forward and you let your arms softly come down, we're going to straighten that front leg so we can turn again for that wide-legged forward bend. So take your time, let yourself ease forward, get your hands down to the surface you like to use, and if you need to adjust your stance at all, do. From here, we're going to walk our hands over towards the right. Now, if you want to go all the way to your foot or ankle, hold on to the outside of your ankle, do. If not, just stay in front of your foot. Stay for a breath first. And then bring your right hand on up to your hip or your low back. You can roll the shoulder up if you want to. And then bring your right hand on back down. We're going to walk back through center and go to the other side. So again, however far you want to go towards your foot or outside your ankle there. And as your left hand comes up, you can put it on your low back or hip. If you like to roll your shoulder and kind of look up at the ceiling, do. And then we'll come on back into center and go ahead and adjust. Bend a knee at a time if you need to. Adjust your stance if you want to get more or less wide. Some of you might even want to turn your toes out and let yourself bend a knee there. And come down with your hips. If you like that extreme stretch there, you can let your hips shift down to the floor and kind of use your hands to support you as you're coming into those. And now when you get ready to come back to getting those feet fairly parallel again, set yourself up. You might want to be a little bit different than you were on the other side, or you might want to go right back to where you were because it felt just great, right? You can grab blocks for your head or your forearms. Start to really let yourself now feel those full deep breaths. Feeling that expansion through the ribs, feeling that full release. When you exhale, imagine your face just getting softer and softer every single time you exhale. One more nice full breath. And we're going to let our hands come on out so we can come back around to that right foot for lunge. So take your time, make your way on back and into your down dog. And if you want more vinyasas or kriyas, this is the last time we're going to come into these. So if you like to do those, go right ahead. And if you'd rather put your knees down and rest, put your knees down and rest. If you'd rather open your hips, you can do those hip openers. Take your time. Good. And once we're back in down dog meeting here, we are going to let ourselves think about coming towards the front of our mat however we choose. So you can jump or you can walk. Let yourself come on forward. Get your feet underneath you here and let your knees soften. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And if you're able to bring your hands up to clasp on your low back, do. And if that doesn't work for you, obviously don't do it. And just breathe. Feel the weight of your head. Let yourself feel really heavy-headed. And now as you bend your knees and press into your feet and rise up, keep your hands behind you. All the way, if you can, when you get all the way up, let the hands slide down maybe just a little bit. Feel a sense of tons of space between your ears and your shoulders. Let your pelvis be aligned. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward at all, which brings, all these weird curves into your back. But let yourself feel very open across your chest. If you can let a 3-part breath happen easily, inhaling into the belly and then your ribs and then up into your chest. And then we'll just release our hands and bend our elbows as we gently bring our hands to meet in front of our chests, in front of our hearts. I think you could just maybe live in mountain pose. Let yourself release down now. Shake out. The mountain pose feels really good. It feels really good, doesn't it? Let's come on to the wall with our mats. So we have plenty of room. 2 of you can go there, 2 there, and all 3 of you can get the pole, Randy, and Karen's got plenty of room there. And we'll come in short edge of the mat to the wall. We're going to stay this way. So, bring everything with you if you had to move your mat very far. Let yourself, in fact, bring your blocks to be forward of you on the floor when you turn. Let's turn a different way for a change. Right shoulder towards the wall. So you've got your blocks there in front of you in case you need them. We're going to cross our left ankle above our right knee here into a figure 4. And then we're going to shift our hips back a little bit. Now, you can balance right here if you want, or for me, I want to open my hips. I'd rather bring my hands down towards the blocks or the floor. It's up to you. You can stay up and balance, and then maybe eventually you want to put your hands down. So just be mindful of what feels good to you. Hips are shifting back a little bit, like you're letting yourself either balance with your hands to your heart, or if you get ready to bring your hands down, do flex through that left foot a little bit. And if you're close enough with the foot to your arm, you can either wrap your toes around the upper right arm so your toenails push into your upper arm there, or you can do the opposite. You can push the ball of your foot into the upper arm. Whatever feels good. Good, so one more breath there. And now coming up to the hard part, we're going to come on up, uncross our leg, bring that left foot behind us. Now, if you can get a hold of the top of your foot, do. If not, don't worry about it. Slide your right hand up the wall, coming into that quad stretch there. You can stay upright and not even worry about balancing if you want. Just press your foot into your hand, enjoy right there. Of course, you can come into dancers. Remember how we came with our chest, almost like our chest leads us forward? You can bring your chest forward and your knee back. And you can balance there if you want to, too. Good. And then we'll come on back up. Bring that left knee in front of you like you're stepping up a step. Hold on to your knee for a second. Kind of pull it up slightly. And then go ahead and release the foot back down. And we're going to turn around and do the other side. So you'll need your blocks if you used them. So we'll come into that figure 4, standing on our left foot. Right ankle crosses above the knee if you can. And then bending that knee and easing your way back with your hips like you're coming into chair pose. And of course you can stay right there and balance. Think about balancing with your hands to your heart. You're more than welcome to go down with your hands whenever or if ever you want to. Just remember, just take it easy. If you decide to come deeper into that hip and you bring your hands down to block through the floor, you're welcome to engage a little more in your hip by either wrapping your foot around your upper left arm and pressing your toenails into the arm there, or pressing the inside of your arm with the ball of your foot. Either one really engages your hip as you're stretching it, right? So whether you're pushing with the ball of the foot into the inner arm or wrapping around the outer arm with your toes, either one of those will really get you going with your hip. Good, so one more breath. And as you rise on back up, take your time to uncross, bring the knee straight down if you can reach back and get your foot due. And maybe you just want to stay right there with your hand on the wall up higher, knee facing down towards the floor, pressing the foot into your hand. You can balance there. And of course, the idea of coming into dancers with the chest leading you and the knee coming back, that is totally up to you. Whether you do that or not, you can stay upright, and you don't have to let go of the wall ever. You just hold on to the wall, especially if you're having not the greatest balance day. Good. And then let yourself release. Bring the knee forward again for a second just to offer a little bit of release there. You can kind of pull it up towards your chest a little bit. And then we'll bring the foot on down. Good. And we're going to turn around and come down onto our bellies on our mats on the floor. And let yourself really come all the way down. Make a little pillow with your hand for a second. Let your hands for a second. Let your head rest. Bend your knees. You might even want to do little wiper blades with your lower legs back there. You can let the lower legs come side to side. Good, and then stretch your legs on long. We're going to roll onto our right side and come into getting your feet under you like you're in mountain pose. Now, you know if this bothers your shoulder, bring the right arm down. You can use a block and put it under your head instead of your arm. Or you can use a blanket, right? If the block's too high and feels really yucky, do what you can. And now we're just going to pretend like we're doing a lying tree, a lying down tree pose. Bringing the left foot up to the inside of your right leg somewhere. You're more than welcome to stretch your arms overhead too if that feels good. You don't have to. You can keep your left hand on the floor. Just let the hip release here. We'll make our way into a little Anantasana, drawing the left knee in towards our shoulder with our left hand if we can. And now if you want to extend the leg up long into Anantasana, you can. Rotating that heel forward. You can either hold your foot or hold your leg, or just let the leg be up there on its own. Rotating the heel forward, finding that outward hip rotation. Let it feel really good and opening for your hip. One more breath. And then come back to that tree, like you're coming back into your tree pose there for a breath. Good, and then lower the leg on down, back into like you're in mountain pose. And we're going to come rolling onto our bellies. We're going to come onto our forearms. And we're going to lift up either into a half forearm plank or a full one, depending on you. So you can keep your knees down and feel like you're pulling yourself towards the front of your mat. Feel the belly engaging, the low back and the hips. And then we're going to release down and we're going to roll on to the other side for all that little playing with the hips here. So get lined up. Remember, you want to be like you're in a tree. Your feet are underneath your hips. Press into the outside edge of that left foot on the ground. And bring that right foot in like you're doing tree. And again, if you like to stretch your arms overhead, you can. You don't need to. You can keep your hand on the floor or keep your arm down. Anything that feels good. Just enjoy. And you really press into the outside edge of that left pinky toe. That'll help stabilize. And when you're ready, bringing the right hand down to draw the right knee in towards your shoulder. And then extending into your Anantasana, and again, you can have your hand wherever you want, on your foot, on your leg, or, you know, you might instead want to have your hand in front of you on the floor. So really enjoy finding that core body there, not to mention huge outward rotation there in your hip. Nice. Good, so one more breath. And then bring the foot down again like you're going back to your tree. And then we'll go ahead and lower the leg long like we're back in mountain pose there. And we're going to roll back onto our bellies again. And from here, let's shift back with our hips. Get your toes to touch the wall, right? And come on in towards child's pose. And you know, if you need to keep your hips up in the air, keep your hips up in the air. If you're fine to shift back into child's pose, letting your arms come overhead or soft, or back alongside your legs do. Breathe into the low back here. Good. And now, you can decide if you want to play with inversion on your hands or on your forearms. So as you come forward, you can either be on hands and knees and lift up into your down dog with your heels up the wall to practice a little bit there, maybe 1 foot up the wall, or you can be on your forearms and do dolphin and do the same thing where you play with a leg coming up the wall, or I know some of you are probably already up with both feet up the wall. So just enjoy. Let this be your time to play with a little bit of inverting, and don't force it. Let it feel good. Play the way that feels really good to you today. Rest when you need to, you know that. And however you need to rest. So maybe you like resting in child's pose better, or maybe you like to sit up and get your head above your heart again when you've been upside down. That's up to you. And if you are going to go up one more time, go ahead and let it be now. Or if you're finishing off one, that's fine too. And we're going to make our way up and around to sitting with our legs in front of us. So let yourself come on around. If you need to sit up on a blanket for a forward bend sequencing here, do. You know, if it feels better to do that. And let's all bring our left foot in to the inside of the right leg somewhere, right? So whether you use support under your knee, whether you like the foot to be down lower, as you think about where you want to go in this forward bend. And sometimes, you know, as you think of coming forward from your low back, sometimes you feel fine with this being out in space until you come forward, and then it might feel a little odd in your knee or your hip. So if that's the case, try the block underneath. And just come on forward and feel the heel on the ground. Let yourself imagine coming forward from your low back. It does not matter how far you go, you know that. Let yourself feel the back of your leg opening up, the right leg, but also, you know, you're getting into a release for that left hip. I know some of you like to reach for your foot, some to your ankle. If any of you want to cross your wrists and hold on to the inside and outside of your foot down there, of the ball of the foot, sometimes that feels really good to me. Kind of makes my foot feel more balanced. One more breath here. Really just let yourself enjoy finding a little release there. And now we're going to slowly rise up. And now all you're going to think about doing is bringing this left knee back more towards the wall. So now you're turning your facing. to face more towards the long edge of your mat, right? And your right foot essentially kind of stays where it was. Because all we're going to do from here is a little side stretch. Bringing our right hand sliding down towards our ankle or our foot. And then you decide you can keep your left hand right there on your hip or your ribs. You can put your left hand up behind your head. Or you can stretch your arm. And now if you're feeling really uncomfortable with the left knee, you don't have to bend the knee. You can go into stretching it out long if you want. If you're really reaching into side stretch, don't worry about keeping your left hip on the floor. You know, you can reach over, let the hip float up a little bit, let yourself come into that side stretch. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly bring ourselves back up to the top and go ahead and bring this knee on back around easily to stretch that leg out. Circle through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Do some little wiper blades, little bounces if you want. And we're going to come to the other side. So now your left leg is long, your right foot is coming in. Again, if you feel any iffiness, changing the level of the foot can help, right? You've got this left foot directly forward of your hip. So this is a true forward bend here. As you come forward, it's like the middle of your torso is coming out over the inside of that left leg. And it's not about how far you go. Think of coming forward from your low back. If you need to bend that knee a little bit, bend the knee a little bit, the left knee. Let yourself just ease your way forward, bringing yourself into the forward bend where you feel a nice release in the back of the leg. You don't want to feel a pulling sensation, however, at your sit bone. Remember, just breathe. One more nice full breath. And now take your time as you move your way on back upright. And remember, once you start to think of drawing this knee back, if you feel uncomfortable, the foot can come farther away from you, number one. You can even stretch the leg out and just be in a wide angle if you want for this side stretch. Don't put stress on that right knee or hip. And then slide your left hand on down to your ankle. You know, if you want to reach down to your foot, do. And again, the side stretch, hand can be there on your hip or your ribs. You can reach the arm long. Let yourself just come into where you're able to be into that side stretch there. Remember, your right hip can float up. It's fine. Don't worry about trying to keep the hip down if you're reaching your hand towards your foot especially. One more breath. Now be mindful as you rise up. Let yourself come on back up. And then you can use your right hand to kind of lift that knee up and bring the legs on around in front of you. Move through again if you need to wiggle around a little bit with your feet. We're going to come down onto our backs. Have blocks handy in case you want. All right. We're going to come on down, bring our feet. Let's actually bring our knees in towards our chest, and you can either do a little Anantasana, if that sounds better, or you can send your feet up for a little happy baby, if that feels even better. So, you know, just let your body take over. Do what feels good for a second here. Release your back and your hips. Let it feel really good. Feel the ground supporting you. Now really feel length in the back of your neck and throat. You know, if you're feeling like your chin's popping up, which it often does, see if you can kind of lower the chin down a little bit. And feel that length in the back of your neck and throat. And then we're going to bring our feet on down to the floor. And you can decide, maybe you just want to reach and get a block and go up into supported bridge pose, right? Maybe you feel like, no, I really actually want to bring my arms alongside me and either bend my elbows or let my arms stay long and come on up into bridge without blocks. So it depends on how you feel today. Yeah, you take your time. If you come up into bridge and you're like, that doesn't feel as good as I thought it would, then change what you're doing. Come on to blocker blocks instead. Come down and up if you need to. Remember, you don't want to feel bridge pose in your back. You'll feel your quads. If anybody wants to come down and do a full back bend, you know you're welcome anytime to do that. You can let yourself press up into that full upward facing bow pose. If you're on the block, you can play however you want, right? You can let your legs come up in the air. You can stretch your legs down on the floor to open even deeper in the front of your hips in a supported pose there. So take your time. Be mindful. You know, you don't have to wait for me. I'm going to walk around and start to get lights, but you know when you're ready to get out of the bridge. You just come down when you're ready. Stay up as long as you like. When you do come down, be mindful to bring your knees in towards your chest. And then, of course, allowing yourself to do whatever you need. Maybe you'd like to just let your knees come gently side to side. Maybe another kind of twist sounds like a good idea to you. I'm going to start to walk around and then see if anybody needs anything. If you need a blanket for your head or for cover, even though it's going to be 80 degrees on December 3rd today, it's still cool in here. So I'd love to bring you cover. I'd love to bring a bolster. If anybody wants a bolster to either lie back on or to put under your knees. Remember, you're welcome to use the wall if you want to lie with your legs up the wall. So just as you start to kind of settle in, maybe even wiggling your way into Shavasana, just appreciate the ground underneath you. Appreciate the gravity's holding you down there. Just accept now your breaths as they come in and go out, and there's no reason to change how you breathe. It'd be like if you were watching the waves of the ocean coming in and going out. You wouldn't even think about trying to change them. But if you can do that same with your breath, it'll definitely quiet down the body and the mind. And just keep returning to the breath every time you do end up off and thinking, which you always will. Just give yourself these few minutes. Give your body time to gain what it needs from all you just did. Just by letting yourself completely and fully relax.